y'all.
I'm Leslie.
And I'm Laurie, and welcome to
Sumo Kaboom, where we talk about all things sumo.
If you've listened to us before, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, curious about sumo wrestling, we're so glad you found us.
Yay!
Yay! For the next few weeks, we'll be spotlighting some of the top guys in professional sumo, who they are, what they're known for, what makes them tick. And today we are focusing on Komusubi, Daieisho, and Okinoumi.
Yes. Now, today we're going to be talking about the Komusubi, but I thought I would go for a second about what being in the Sanyaku means.
Great.
What is this ranking system? What does it mean? What does it mean to be a Komusubi, Sekiwaki, or Ozeki really mean? What does that mean? Well, the Sanyaku are essentially the three ranks right below Yokozuna in the top Makuuchi division. They're the title holders and champions, usually comprised of about 8 to 12 men, okay? According to Wikipedia, which is the source of all source, Sanyaku...
For us, anyway.
For us.
That's like
Well, we're limited because
Yeah.
everything's in kanji and was like, I don't read kanji.
No, it's great.
So-
Go to Wikipedia first.
Or terrible Google Translate, which is tragic in so many ways. Sanyaku literally means the three ranks, even though it actually comprises of 4 ranks. The discrepancy arose because the Yokozuna was traditionally regarded as an ozeki, with a special license to wear a particular rope around his waist and perform the distinctive ring entry ceremony. Okay?
Okay.
In modern use, though, Sanyaku has a somewhat flexible definition. This is largely because the top 2 ranks of Yokozuna and Ozeki have distinctive differences from the lower 2 ranks and from each other. Therefore, a reference to Sanyaku can sometimes mean only the bottom 3 ranks, or in other cases, only Sekiwaki and Komusubi. To be a Yokozuna, you are in a class of your very own, and the men right below you are the Sanyaku. Mm-hmm. Now, if you picture a triangle, as I kind of like to do, we did this when we discussed our rankings in our other episode, whatever our ranking episode was.
Yeah, that was an early episode for us. Yeah.
Well, there's this kind of triangle that you can look at. And at the top is Yokozuna, Hakuho, and Kakaru, followed right below them by Ozekis, Asanoyama, and Takakeisho. And then below them currently is Sekiwaki, Shodai, and Mitakeyumi. And lastly and currently, Komusubi's Daieisho and Okinoumi, the lower 2 ranks. They switch up quite a bit. So those 2 names down there fluctuate a lot.
Yeah, this is as of August 2020.
Right. And to be a Komusubi or Sekiwaki, it's not anything fancy you have to do other than you have to have a winning record and be currently in the Maegashira position 1 or 2. And Maegashira, for anybody who's just joining us, is the rank and filers, okay? They're the other people, the other of the 42 wrestlers that fill out the whole top division below the Sanyaku.
Yeah, you got to perform really well to get any of these positions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, as a member of the Sanyaku, you make more money. All of these guys, except for Yokozuna, Hakuho, and Kakaru, who make like $25,000 a month, these guys make about $16,650 a month. And
more than I'm making.
yeah, it's a lot more than I'm making. And with each fighting prize that they get, they make another extra $20,000. And Basho appearances earn them more money anyway. They get another couple of thousand, few thousand for just showing up to party. And then each day, those little envelopes contain about $300 in each one.
Yeah,
so
the
sometimes
envelopes that the winner gets.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know, and I just learned that there's about $300 in each one of those. They can have a pile of, 50 of them. Sometimes when you look at Hakuho's, you're like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, good Lord.
For each one of those envelopes, there's about $200 from the same sponsor that is dedicated towards their retirement fund.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
I
I
love
thought
that.
that was very nice.
Yeah. They're always planning ahead, thinking about what's going to happen when they stop wrestling, which I like.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Now, to be a Komusubi, they now have the ability in this position to be considered for an even higher rank as well. And I think you get either some other perks like special parking places, or like everyone kind of treats you a bit fancier.
Like a license plate that says
Yes.
Komusubi on it?
Yes. Well, you know how they always have like people that, they have attendants. And I don't know if they get like more attendants or if they just get like everyone moves out of their way when they're walking down the hall as a komusubi.
Right.
And then the second you drop out of that, then they're like, forget you. I'm walking in front of you. I don't know. I think that they're just sort of like, oh, hey, I've been there. The other wrestlers, a lot of wrestlers have actually held these positions too. So maybe it's not that fancy to them.
Well, and these are tough positions. Komusubi is a really hard rank.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the downsides to being in the Sanyaku is that you cannot earn a kimboshi, which is defeat of a yokozuna.
Right.
And if the rank and filer or Maegashira gets a win over a yokozuna, then that wrestler gets a bump in their salary for the rest of their life. And also the crowds go bonkers and they love it. It's kind of like David and Goliath, and sumo fans, they really live for this moment, including myself. Mm-hmm. But when you become a Sanyaku, then you don't get that. Maybe it's kind of expected that you will have to.
Yeah, that once you get at that high rank, I think it's expected that you're more on an even playing field with a yokozuna. But it's a shock and surprise if somebody in the Maegashira level defeats a yokozuna.
Right. Absolutely. Komusubi is the lowest rank, where achieving a kachikoshi, which is a winning record in a tournament, is no longer sufficient to guarantee promotion to a higher rank. Promotion to the next highest rank, sekiwaki, depends on either a space being available, which is quite common, or having at least 11 wins in the previous tournament if no normal sekiwaki slot is available. For many purposes, this and the Sekiwaki rank are treated together as the junior Sanyaku ranks. Mm-hmm. Record of numbers of tournaments ranked in junior Sanyaku are often referred to in sumo publications because these two ranks are really, really difficult to hold on to. Mm-hmm. And Komusubi especially, because on their first day, it's usually up against the yokozuna.
Yep.
And they call these positions, this one especially, this meat grinder position is literally what they lovingly refer to it as. Yeah. Because it's very, very common that a komusubi, especially in his debut as a komusubi, would easily have a record after the first week, which is 0-8.
Yeah.
They go up against
the toughest guys
the first week. And then by the second week, they're just like demoralized. Mm-hmm. They're like, I suck at sumo. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to be able to sumo again. I am terrible at everything I do. It's really, really difficult for them to get their kachikoshi at this point, because how can you get one after you have 8 losses? Mm-hmm. So reaching this rank, besides the salary, you also, though, kind of get to do some other cool things around that maybe in the past you haven't been asked to do, which if there are speeches that the JSA is going to be making to the public and the yokozuna is tied up or whatever, all of the Sanyaku in general, a lot of them are required to kind of be there. And yes, that creates a lot of extra work in their schedule, but then again, it gets them more publicity and then therefore maybe more sponsorships, which may be more money. Mm-hmm. But you get to see them more around and about at any of the JSA events, especially for the Ozeki and the yokozunas, but it's not at all uncommon to see komusubi and sekiwakis there as well.
Got it.
One cool thing is that once you become a komusubi, you're always called a former komusubi if you don't make that rank again. So they can't take that rank away from you, mm-hmm. which I thought was neat. You know, mm-hmm. you can always say, hey, I was a komusubi, which is the sign of if you met like all of the wrestlers throughout time on the street or bumped into somebody who's like, I used to be in the upper division. If you can say then that you were a komusubi, it's kind of saying like, I did have a very successful career.
Yeah.
That is like the top of, not a yokozuna, which is, next to impossible to achieve for a lot of these guys. But to be able to say, hey, I was a komusubi, that means, oh, you really were legit. Yeah. It's not like you just graced a couple of tournaments in Maegashira 17 and went back down to Juryo.
I don't hear that one as often as former Ozeki, right. But, occasionally people do. Yeah.
Right. So let's do a little special spotlight on our most current komusubis. All right, Daieisho Hayato was born Hayato Takanishi, and he was born November the 10th in 1993 in Asaka in Saitama Prefecture. 1993 was the year I graduated from high school.
I know. Doesn't that make you feel old?
Well, Okinoumi makes me feel older because I feel like he's the veteran, but he's still like, he's still a baby. He began wrestling, though, at a very young age and won a local tournament in his very first year of elementary school. So he's probably like a little bruiser on the playground, you know?
He's like a big kid that loved to wrestle.
Yeah. And he attended Saitama Sakai High School, which I don't know if I pronounced that second word right, but it's okay. And anyway, it's a school that is very, very, very well known in the sumo world. It's like my college was a pageant factory, and we had a lot of Miss Americas come from my college.
This
I'm very proud of this. This is the sumo factory, and it has churned out some serious sumo talent, such as Goedo, Takakeisho, and Hokuto Fuji as of late. So that's not nothing. Okay, so it's super famous for its sumo club. Daieisho earned a place on the club's elite team near the end of his second year, and in his final year, he won second place in the team competition at national championships. So after graduation, obviously, he was probably scouted, and he joined Oitekaze's stable. In 2012, he made his debut in the lower ranks and adopted his shikona as, listen to this, I don't know if I'm going to say it right, Daisho for his first competitive tournament. And he later adapted it to just Daieisho. And I wonder how that kind of came to be. I don't know. But he cruised his way through the lower ranks until July 2015. He finally joined the Makuuchi division. You can kind of understand why he is so good. I mean, he's a young kid. Was he like 25, 26? How he's so good is because when you think about his stable, the Oitekaze stable is packed with other top division wrestlers. His Keiko has him going up against the best of the best, or at least as of late, a whole bunch of top
who's he
division.
fighting with?
Daiamami, Daishomaru, Endo, and Tsurugisho. So those are all names that we have seen, especially Endo, obviously. But all of those other names are very familiar to me. So they are obviously in the top division. And if they're not every time, they're like at the top of Juryo. So this is a packed stable. So now let's talk a little bit about Hot Pants Okinoumi Ayumi, which I just called him Hot Pants.
We could call him Hot Pants Oki.
Hot Pants
Okinoumi.
I would like him to be my new boyfriend, but he is married, so that's problematic for me. Although, by the way, I do appreciate Mr. J-Wags sent us an offer of consideration for Mitakeyumi.
Yeah, but I have to say, J-Wags, Mitakeyumi is mine. He's my secondary boyfriend because he was my first sumo love.
That is very true.
And I'm just not going to give him up to my sister without a fight.
Well, and I don't want to fight over guys with my sister, but I did appreciate it. And the picture he posted was a very suave-looking Mitakeyumi.
Was it the one where he's in the tree?
Yeah, no.
Holding...
He's like greasing his hair back, and he's looking at the cameras like, I know I'm a hottie.
Oh, there's one with him like holding onto a branch in a tree, and the branch is above his head, and so it's like the swimsuit cover shot of him and his mawashi that I really, really love.
I do love Mitakeyumi, but in the end, I have to say that there's just no attraction there. I would have to just say, like, we probably had a nice date. Everything was really fun. I really like him as a person.
Okay.
But I'd have to say that, like, there just wasn't a spark there.
He's going to stay in the friend status?
He's going to stay in my friend zone. Okay. But I so appreciate it because J-Wags basically said he's a nice boy. He's good to buy low before he makes Ozeki, which I totally agree.
Buy low.
Buy low. And then... he also said I would have so much fun partying with his mom during the boss show. And I do love a party, but if you're with him, then I can still attend the party.
Well, and I don't know much about Mitakeyumi's mom. Did you look that up?
No, I don't. But apparently she likes the party.
I cannot wait to learn more about Mitakeyumi's mom.
Well, and maybe
she's
the
probably
apple.
Our age.
Well, that is true. That's so true. So sad, but so true. But, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So maybe Mitakeyumi likes to party as well.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, but let's talk more about Hot Pants Okinoumi. Okay. Now, this veteran wrestler is one of the most experienced wrestlers in the Makuuchi division. He was born July 29th in 1995, and his name, as he was born, was Ayumi Fukuoka. Now, he attended local sumo clubs and took part in national competitions, but he actually had no desire to take up sumo as a profession. Get this. He instead wanted to be
At sea.
at sea.
He wanted to be a
licensed
mariner.
Yeah, licensed mariner.
That made me fall in love with him even more.
I know.
It's like, oh, you want to be out on the ocean.
I know. He's a free
How
spirit.
amazing are you?
I know, but he's also a wild child because he dropped out of high school. And he was then, though, introduced by an acquaintance to the Hakaku, the 61st Yokozuna Okinoumi. And he persuaded him to join his Hakaku stable. So Okinoumi's name is derived from his home, the island of Oki, which is where he was born. And he's known, as I would have to agree, as being very good looking.
Yep.
And he joined the sumo world professionally in 2005. So that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he reached
he's been at it for a while.
Well, he's 35 now. So he started, what was that, 15 years ago? That's about right, around 1920. And he reached the top division in 2010. And he's been a runner-up 3 times, all with an 11-4 record, which is great. His highest rank has been Sekiwaki, which he's held for 1 tournament in March 2015 and then again in November 2016. He has been a very successful fighter. He has like 4 fighting spirits, all kinds of outstanding performance, gold stars, you name it. He has been in the top division doing very, very well, and he's steady. I like to see the wrestlers that maybe are, I don't know how to describe it. For one reason or another, they have not become the Ozeki or the Yokozuna, but they are very good wrestlers, great wrestlers. And they continue to dominate and challenge some of these young guys with their expertise and their technique after all these years wrestling.
Yeah, who's he fighting with? Who's in his stable?
Oh, his stable. Hold on one second. Hokuto Fuji is also in his stable.
Ah.
So he's got another pretty damn amazing sparring partner there.
Yeah, he does.
As well as the younger wrestlers who are very good as well. So he's handsome, he's mature, and even though he's married, I would like to put him into my boyfriend category. Just maybe in my mind I will.
Oh, see, now I'm just going to call him Hot Pants McGee forever.
Well, I didn't say McGee, but I do like Hot Pants McGee. Okay, one other really fun thing I saw about him is that he loves hamburger patties.
I missed that piece. That's awesome.
I watched like an 8-minute video, and it was in Japanese, and it was this really nice lady who had gone to their stable, and he was showing this really nice lady how to make hamburgers, which is apparently hamburger patties is his favorite food. And it was serious. He was standing by while 2 younger wrestlers actually did the making. Like they literally churned the meat, and they did the meat grinder deal. They put onions, they put bacon, they put all kinds of things in this hamburger patty. But the best part about it was he was really good at forming the meat patties. Like he had obviously spent a lot of time forming meat patties in his younger years.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that stuck with him. But they fried him up and they grilled him up and put him under the broiler. And then he made a plate to eat to obviously his portion, which was 4 enormous patties covered with the sauce, and then maybe a tablespoon of potatoes and maybe a tablespoon of mixed veggies. And it was just all
see, this is how you keep yourself big and tall and strong.
Yeah, it was crazy to see that. But he seemed so friendly and sweet, and just like he's barbecue dad. That's like what he does when he's not wrestling. Is he's there with his wife and kids. He's just barbecue dad. That's what he does.
Yeah, he might be.
He might be. Maybe that's my new name for him. So he's a very experienced wrestler, but he has been in this komusubi position like 5 other times he's been there. So he's very familiar to this spot.
Yeah.
But I just like the guy.
I do too. And we've come up with some great nicknames for him. Hot Pants McGee and Barbecue Dad. Did you know he also has another nickname? It's Humanoid Typhoon. Isn't that a good one?
That's a really good one.
I know. I had a really great time looking at both of these komusubi because I looked at everything from their fighting styles to their stats. And to me, once I got done looking at them, they really represent yin and the yang of sumo. That you have Daieisho, younger wrestler, Okinoumi, Hot Pants McGee, older wrestler. You've got a pusher thruster, who is Daieisho, and you've got a belt sumo guy, who is Okinoumi.
Oh.
You've got young, super aggressive, super competitive guy who's all about sumo, which is Daieisho, versus laid back, wannabe mariner, guy who wrestles because he happens to be good at it.
And barbecues.
Yeah, Okinoumi. You've got guy on the rise versus guy who's been there for a while.
Yeah.
They are night and day to me in the sumo world. So I actually put them on this table, like a grid, to look at them piece by piece. You've got Daieisho, who's 26 years old. To me, when I watch him wrestle, he seems like a shorter guy. He's 5'11" and a half, which is tall, but he seems short because in comparison, somebody like Okinoumi is 6'3".
Yeah,
right?
He's like about the same as Hakuho. He's tall.
Yeah, he's a tall guy. Daieisho is 362 pounds. Okinoumi, a little bit lighter, 350, but taller, right? So Okinoumi is this really tall guy who uses his height to his advantage when he wrestles. And Daieisho is like this round, shorter spitfall of fire who's like really, really aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay?
He is like a ball of energy.
Yeah. He's super aggressive and comes out pushing, thrusting. And that, part of that is because of their different styles of sumo.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about this very much in the podcast, but there are two very distinctive styles of sumo out there. You've got Oshi Sumo and the Yotsu Sumo.
Okay.
Pusher is the word Oshi, and thruster is the word Tsuzuki. So you hear those Japanese words used in this style of sumo, okay? And the person who is an Oshi Sumo style wrestler prefers fighting apart, right? So when this is done really well, this kind of sumo wrestler can win really super fast because they just thrust their opponent right out of the ring. So it can be a real decisive, fast, easier looking victory. But a wrestler with this style can be dodged, can be slapped down because they lean too far forward. And sometimes they're really helpless when an opponent grabs their belt because they don't know what to do on the belt.
Right.
And that takes us to the other style of sumo. Okay, so Daieisho is the pusher thruster.
Right.
Okinoumi is the belt guy. So he's the other kind of sumo, which is called Yotsu Sumo. Yotsu Sumo fighters, they're seen more as tacticians or technicians. This is the Mawashi, kind of an older style of sumo, if you will.
Well, a lot of the younger guys they don't have the skill or technique to be that.
Well, and
yet.
experience.
Right.
Because it does take a lot of experience to be this kind of wrestler. It's the grappling that you see. This is a technique where you see the last minute changes of fortune right on the edge of the ring. And I will say, I stumbled upon several surveys online, like people who watch sumo, what's your favorite style of technique? Is it the pusher thruster or is it the grappling style? Hands down, the majority of people love the grappling style, the Mawashi style. And
well, you get a variance of techniques that are used.
Well, and for me personally, it's way more exciting because you get those last minute turns of fortune. Like you don't know who's going to win, even when somebody's up against the ropes.
Right.
It makes it super exciting.
What's interesting, though, is that obviously both of these men have both techniques because we saw with Daieisho as he beat Yokozuna Hakuho,
it's an effective technique.
Well, yes, but did he push him straight out? He pushed him and then he's kind of, Hakuho slipped.
Right.
And then couldn't recover. And
well, the best wrestlers have both styles in them, right? And it's always a choice
it's just what they lead with.
Well, yeah, it's what you do first and how you respond. But the best wrestlers use both. Most definitely. I will also say, usually, guys who do the Yotsu Sumo, the grappling style, usually they have more stamina than the pusher thrusters because the pusher thrusters are used to just thrusting their opponent out of the ring and being done in 10 seconds. But somebody like Takakeisho, as an example, isn't as strong in those longer bouts. He just runs out of steam.
We've seen how hard he breathes after each match. I'm like, get this kid an inhaler.
Right?
He's worked himself in 10 seconds or less than that. He's worked himself up.
Yeah. Somebody like Daieisho usually, like the vast majority of time, wins with an oshidashi. 55% of his wins are with that big push out. Somebody like Okinoumi has He uses a lot more varied techniques, some overarm throws, some pushes. His favorite winning move is a yorikiri, but he prefers a migiyotsu, left hand outside, right hand inside grip. So anybody who's a belt guy has their favorite grip that they go for. He definitely
right
has
outside
his.
or left
but,
outside.
Yeah, but he chooses, from 3 to 5 different techniques that he uses often, over and over and over again. The story of Daieisho is a story of this young kid who is a steady climber. He is 2 steps forward, 1 step back type guy.
Yeah.
Right? He is a guy on the rise. Even if you look at his stats for the last 6 tournaments, he's like Maegashira 3, Maegashira 3, Maegashira 1, Komusubi, Maegashira 1, Komusubi, right?
Yeah.
And that's been his story from the minute he showed up.
Oh, yeah. That was all I saw when I looked at his record is like, wow, he really hasn't had any drastic falls. I mean, obviously he hasn't been injured.
I mean, exactly. But he's steadily gone forward and back. He showed up in the Makauchi level at 21 years old, the youngest in the division. And he sort of, he would have a losing record and go down to Juryo and then have some winning tournaments and go up and up and up and then have a losing one and go back and then a winning one and go up and up. That has been his story from the beginning. And he has stayed near the top of Maegashira really since 2019.
Yeah.
And I think he's done so well because he has this super aggressive thrusting style. He is like an angry cat. Like as soon as that tachiai goes, he lunges for it. My favorite thing about watching him fight is when he gets set up at the tachiai, he puts his hands down. He's in that low squat. He puts his hands down and he rests right there. I mean, obviously he's quite comfortable in that low tachiai and it looks like he could stay there for hours. Like most guys, they'll come down, they'll get set up. And then if the other guy isn't ready to fight, they stand up again. He goes down and he just remains
like, I will
down.
wait. I will wait for you.
Huge hip flexibility. You know me. I love that. But watch, he goes down and it's like he's resting in an armchair in that really low squat, and then he pounces out like an angry cat,
part
claws
of his
flying.
game.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, maybe that's just kind of what he does to psych the other person out. He's like, you can do whatever you want to do. I'll wait here till you're ready.
I'm going to wait right
I'm
here
patient
in a
and
super
confident.
low squat.
Yeah. Why haven't I considered him as my boyfriend? I saw a picture of him
He's single.
smiling. He's single. He is a little on the young side, but all I said is he needed to be 21, and he is well over that.
Yes, he is. And he is known for his smile. People say he has a very good-natured smile. And I would say that is true. When he smiles, he looks very cute and very
He's very
nice.
sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I'll consider it.
Okay. Okinoumi. Hot Pants McGee.
Hot Pants McGee.
His story is one of being in the Sanyaku rank and falling down a little bit and getting back into the elite club and doing well and then falling down again and getting back into the elite club and falling down again and again. He has done that so many times over the course of his career. He's got gold stars, second place, like where he's almost won. He was like, he was second
3
place,
times.
runner up to Hakuho.
Yeah.
Solid sumo, but without the tournament wins at the top divisions. 4 times as Komusubi, 1 time at Sekiwake. I think why it happens, he has been plagued with injuries.
Yeah.
He's got a shoulder injury that comes back over and over again.
He's also been in the same reign as Hakuho.
Well,
So imagine just all those tournaments that Hakuho's won, and then you're like, this guy
You're
won't go
fighting-
away. He's been there his entire journey.
yes. And he's
same
fighting
age.
at a really high level. Unfortunately, he just doesn't come out with the big top wins, but he is a steady producer of fantastic sumo. I will say one interesting thing about Okinoumi was in the beginning, right after he showed up in 2010 at the top level, he was suspended one time. And
Was he on the sea? Was he fishing?
He was
at the aquarium?
This was right after he appeared in Makauchi Division. He was promoted to Maegashira 10, and he was suspended along with several other wrestlers after admitting involvement in illegal gambling in baseball.
Oh, he was one of those
Yes.
guys. Well, you
So-
can't bet.
Yeah, you can't bet. So as a result, he dropped back to Juryo
Well, I
for
mean,
September.
he's a little bit of a wild child. He did drop out of high school.
He did.
Because he did want to be a mariner.
Yeah,
So.
but it must have pissed him off enough where he went down to Juryo, did super well, popped up to the top division, and in January of 2011 was runner-up to Hakuho and received his first award for fighting spirit. So he's just continued to do that over and over and over again. Pop to the top,
Yeah,
something
he doesn't
goes
seem
wrong.
to be rattled as much by his. Maybe he's comfortable being a rank and filer, even though right now he's not. But like, he's not rattled by his losing records, or if he has a down tournament, he's like, "Well, I'll show up again next time, and I'm okay."
I think he's really good. I just think he has lingering injuries,
I know.
is what it seems like.
I mean, he's 35. I mean, how much more of him are we going to get?
I don't know, but I'll take all of hot pants I can get.
I will as well.
He's known for being very friendly, very unassuming. I ran into stories about him being out and about with Endo. And I will say, in all my research, he's very popular, as we've alluded to before
Yes,
with the
he's
girls.
grumpy, but popular.
No, friendly, not grumpy.
Endo?
No, Endo is grumpy.
Endo is
Yes.
grumpy, but not
Hot
Okinoumi.
Pants.
Hot Pants McGee.
is friendly and like number 2 behind Endo in terms of popularity for Japanese women.
Because
Is
he's
what I'm hearing.
very handsome.
Yeah, well, it's funny because a couple of things. One, I found this hilarious video
Do we
on
watch
YouTube.
sumo for the sport, or do we just watch it for the hot ones?
It's a little of both. It's a little of both. But this hilarious video on YouTube, which I will put in our show notes, about this woman who was like, she was doing a breakdown of all the hottest guys in sumo. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I have ever watched. And she got to Okinoumi. And it's interesting because she's Japanese. And she was like, oh, he has a very Western feel, especially in regards to his nose. She kept saying he has a very Western nose.
What does that mean?
I don't know exactly because I'm not Japanese, but I thought, well, maybe that's why we both think he's so good looking, is because to
He
Japanese
appeals
women,
to our
he's
whatever.
very Western looking. Okay, another story I ran into. Oh my gosh. This is a quote about meeting his bride. He said, "It was love at first sight. She's just like the air, someone I have to have in order to subsist. I pursued her vigorously."
I love that.
How cute is that?
That's very cute. Did she ride up in a boat?
Sure, that would have been the best of both worlds.
She came up
Is he
onto the scene in like a yacht or something, or some
Wouldn't it
sort
be
of
great?
sailing.
You know, well,
a
he does
yacht.
have a very lovely low voice too. Like if you hear him in the interviews, it's this very good natured, like willing to joke around, but a
Yeah.
very deep voice. So now I'm picturing him as like this hot skipper from Gilligan's Island. It's like,
We have way too
Come
many
on.
nicknames for him now. Hot Skipper, Hot Pants McGee. Meanwhile, our listeners are like all dudes, and they're like, ugh. Can we move on to his stats, please?
well, let's just hope when he retires, he'll get himself a boat, he'll head out to sea with his lovely wife, and enjoy, I don't know, some trip around the islands.
Yeah.
And then come back, and he already is the owner of some elder stock, so he's indicated he wants to stay in the sumo world and become a coach.
Oh, good.
So he'll be around for a while.
Yeah, I like it when we see some of these older yokozunas that are now like the spokesman for the JSA. You get to see them age and have like careers. So I'm looking forward to whenever like Hakuho or whenever Okinoumi retires, being like, hey, this is them 10 years later. We get to see them in some capacity working at the JSA.
Yeah. Hopefully that gives you a little taste of how to compare these two wrestlers, these two guys that are right now occupying the spot of Komusubi. Very different body types, different sumo styles, different kinds of records. Really fun to kind of analyze just how different they are in terms of personality,
Yet they
in terms
hold
of
the same
style. Yeah,
rank.
it's really quite cool, I think.
Here's a little fun fact before we move on, is there's no requirement for a wrestler to first attain komusubi before becoming a sekiwaki. They can breeze right into sekiwaki from a lower rank Maegashira position. Mm-hmm. All right, maybe that's not such a fun fact.
Well,
but
no.
anyway, that's a fact.
Sorry, did I not seem pleased? Huh? Okay.
You're just like, oh, is that it? I was like, oh, I thought that was neat. All right.
Sorry. Oh, I'm so impressed. That's so cool.
Thank you.
That's so cool. I guess I just don't know. Yeah, like how else could they get there? I mean,
Well, you can
would they-
skip over you can skip over komusubi. But you can be like one, like you can have more than one or two komusubis too. Like depending, like if somebody below you was like had that amazing of a tournament, and then the two guys like we have currently kept their.
Yeah, you could add a third.
You could add a third.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of really kind of weird little circumstances that make this position interesting, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I do want to say before we sign off, we got a really nice review from a fan of ours. And I just wanted to read it because it was just so nice. And he said, I have been a fan of sumo for many years now and was thrilled to stumble upon this podcast. The Collins sisters bring insight, humor, and heart to their discussion of the sport. If you're interested in sumo, Japanese culture, or just listening to two clever women talking about their experiences, I don't know if we're that clever.
I was just going to say, maybe clever is not the right.
He hasn't been listening for very long. Who I just said Tochi-Ozan was still wrestling. Then you'll love this show. And Spirit!
Thank you so much for that review. It's so appreciated. You guys, we love it when you reach out to us. You can email us anytime at sumokaboom@gmail.com or send us a review. We'll read it online. And we're still looking for a boyfriend for Leslie.
Yep, keep them coming.
Yeah, keep your ideas
coming. I have not made a decision.
Wait, I got another joke from Malcolm. What do sumo wrestlers like to eat around the campfire?
I don't know.
Sumo Wars. Sumo Wars.
S'mores. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you, Malcolm.
So I think that's our style of sumo.
Thanks for listening.
Please tune in again for more info on the sport we love.
Until next time, I'm Leslie.
And I'm Laurie.
Sayonara.
See y'all later.
Daiamame. I almost said edamame. Daiamame.
Edamame.